What's good, y'all? Hope y'all are doing well. Hope y'all are feeling blessed out there. We are back with another YouTube video. We on the road with it. I just wanted to chop it up, catch up with y'all, kind of share some thoughts, some funny thoughts, at least to me, and see if it resonates with anybody out there. But something I was thinking about just with my check-ins throughout this week with my clients, and just seeing how they're doing, making sure that they're staying the course and staying on the path and trajectory that we set out when we started and things of that nature. You always got to find ways to make adjustments and make iterations. But one funny thing where sometimes there could be a disconnect or a gap, because obviously somebody's coming to you for your expertise, and because you've found some foundation or some way to just stay consistent throughout it. And I feel like that's the magic pill that most people obviously don't take heed to or don't consistently do. And I remind them in real time, but I also often don't speak on it throughout content or whatever the case is. But like, I'm still very much human. Like, I have moments in my brain throughout the day, throughout the week, where I don't want to be consistent, where I don't want to do XYZ. And then just like in a spectrum or an array of emotions or thoughts that can come to me throughout my day, and we have thousands, millions of them throughout the day, I hear it, I breathe, I pause, and then I choose to react. That's probably the biggest difference. Like, okay, I felt that. Well, that doesn't sound like the Tyler that I've been yearning to become. So then I choose action. Or, I look at it, I assess, I'm like, all right, I could do that, but I know I'm not going to recover from it, so don't do it. And I do take the day off. And I don't beat myself up, but I have my own rule and how it works for me. It doesn't always have to apply to everybody else, but for me specifically, I try not to do it more than 2 days in a row. If it's an off day, like, not an off day to where it was already scheduled for me to have like a low intensity kind of day, but like genuinely a day where I was supposed to lift, whether the volume is high or low, but the intensity was supposed to be there, and I just don't show up. Like, if I have those, they're not often, but if I have them, fine. But if I have them more than like twice, then I'm really starting to reflect and assess. Like, I'm looking at, bro, like, is my space clean? Like, is there clutter? Am I around the wrong environment? Like, not like my world is crashing, but it's just more so like I start to dive a bit deeper because I just know myself and my personality. Going back to the point of having everything figured out, like, yes, am I well versed and I'm way more ahead than I was years prior, and experiencing certain things, navigating and going through certain stressors, and now I'm wiser? Of course. But to say that I just predict the future and I know everything, I don't. Especially when you put yourself in a mind frame, but also physically in a situation where you are very active and you enjoy sports. Like, it's something that I grew up on. I'm very fortunate and thankful that, my family, my parents, put me into those things, and they watered me into those things and really helped me foster lifelong skills doing so. I learned a lot through teamwork. I learned a lot through grit. I learned a lot about doing mundane things that I didn't want to do, and those things happened to show up in my adult age. But saying all that, now kind of the funny element to it as well is, because I loved a lot of sports, like, it wasn't like I just stuck to like one. Like, the beauty of me being athletic today and being able to be coordinated at the level that I am now is because of the variety of sports that I played. Like, my first few sports growing up was bowling and baseball. Like, growing up as a black man, my dad, wanted me and my brother to kind of do some unconventional things, and those are probably not the first two sports that you think of in our community. So I ended up doing those, and shoot, like, from a coordination, from a skill standpoint, like, those are two of probably the tougher sports, and excluding like golf, where it's like very much a lot of hand-eye coordination. It's more finesse than anything. It's not like contact where you can just dish it out and things of that nature. But I started with that. And then around like 7 or 8, I was given a basketball and a hoop outside the house, and then I ended up falling in love with that. I played football throughout the time. I ran cross country to get in good shape, like, doing all those things. So now in adulthood, I'm about to be 30. The beauty of learning and having all this information and continuing to want to learn and want to continue to grow in this, for not only myself, but obviously for the masses and the people that I can connect and reach, is I still get to and want to play these things on a regular basis. Now, obviously, with our adult, schedules and work and business and connecting and networking and executing and systems and all other stuff, it's not as easy to play when I was a kid or even like a decade ago. Like I could, play 2-3 hours of basketball and I'd have the time to do that 2-3 times a week and then lift 3-4 times a week and then jog and sprint. Like not only did I have the time, but I also could recover from it as well. But that's even its own battle now too, is like, okay, even though I have a lot of the answers, I know the research, it still very much has to be cohesive with my schedule in my life. Like I got to understand my stressors. I got to understand, okay, I know that I've been sleeping really well. I know that, work has been picking up and I've been trying to sleep and I've been journaling and I've been trying to read, but maybe I haven't been able to release some of that out. So when I go lift or when I go play, like that is still going into the same stress bucket, like physical versus emotional. Like stress is stress, and working out and movement is still a stressor to the body. So even trying to balance and figure that out, and because I have that quest to want to continue to learn and like adding skills, it's one of those things where I got to not necessarily tread lightly. Like I don't look at myself in a fragile standpoint at all. But that is a lens of a lot of people that I, come in contact with. It's like, oh, I can't do that movement, or oh, that may be bad for my back if I deadlift heavy, or all these other. Like, first of all, no. Like, if anything, I want to be the voice and the advocate to liberate you, to be like, you are not fragile. You can do these things. But again, back to the point as far as like having this ultimate control and you just know all the branches of the answers is not always the case. It's just not. Like knowing, like I said, knowing that I do have these capabilities and these skills, but at the same time I have to be very sensible about them. It can be its own kind of challenge. Like imagine that somebody that's known and identified with moving their body and being in those team environments, and also very young and early on. Like I'm like that middle child of like I can relate and understand to like my friends or family that are in that like late 30s, 40s to like 60s range of like that work ethic, where it was like we doing wall sits, and if somebody dropped, the whole team doing it again. I don't care if it's the centers and the point guards, we all got to make the down and back together. If it's football and somebody even breathes too hard, like I'm used to that kind of era, but I'm also still young enough to be able to relate to the kids that are like in their late teens to like mid 20s and things of that nature. Not completely, but I'm like in that in between. The point with that is that even though I've learned and adapted to quite a bit, I'm still, even from a psychological standpoint, breaking from that with the information that I acquire and obtain. Because if I have that kind of balls to the wall mentality when it comes to that, especially as I'm getting older, even though I'm still maintaining and even gaining in strength, but I also have a wide spectrum of things to choose from, I can run myself into the ground. Simple as that. And imagine from a psychological standpoint, the person that doesn't feel invincible, but at the same time, like, yeah, I also feel like I've acquired a lot. I've been able to recover and sustain a lot of qualities for a while, and I'm gonna continue to do so. But at the rate that I'm doing them at, I'm gonna have to really take heed and pay attention to a lot of different things to the pot. Like, think about that from a day-to-day, like somebody that loves sprinting and wants to sprint, quite frequent to be able to maintain that quality. I feel like that's a life skill, but it's also the most demanding thing that I could do and put on my body, from forces going throughout my feet, my hamstrings, my entire chain. There's a reason why certain people can only do it for a lot of amount of time, and it's probably going to be pretty brief before it becomes endurance. But wanting to sprint periodically throughout the week, wanting to still jog for great heart cardiovascular health. Like I want to be able to just get up and go and run 2 miles, 10 miles, tempo runs and things of that nature. I still want to hoop. I like learning about combat. If anything, for somebody that's pretty busy and that loves sports but doesn't watch any of them live, out of all the sports that I've played, I didn't even box and I didn't even do jiu-jitsu growing up. I would probably rather sit and watch MMA or a boxing match live than any other sport right now. So think about that. Like I want to do that once or twice a week. I haven't gotten into jiu-jitsu, but I would love to get into it because I think that's another skill and tool that would be necessary just to have in your back pocket. I occasionally want to, go swing a bat. I still got a decent swing. My brother still plays baseball, so I want to go to the cage with him sometimes. then I still love lifting weights. I love the feeling of feeling strong and feeling limber and feeling mobile. And I want to do all of those qualities, but that is a lot in the midst of trying to cultivate an entire business, trying to still, continue to market and network and put yourself out there and still sleep and still eat. Like, none of these are complaints. These are all wonderful, beautiful things that I get to work through and navigate and solve, and I'm appreciative and grateful that I even get the chance to do so. So don't get that misconstrued. But I put that in perspective where I remind my friends, my clients, like, it just may seem like there's always going to be this perfect fix or anecdote or potion, like I have all the answers, but even with all the information and knowledge, it still comes down to you and your story. Oh, doesn't that sound familiar? Like, you can have a plan, and that perfect plan may look great on paper. And then some stuff happens. Like, you do get excited psychologically, and you, instead of playing the 45 minutes you thought you prescribed, you're in the mode. You played an hour and a half. Or the sprints that you were supposed to, okay, maybe when it comes to like lifting, I actually do stay on protocol and things of that nature. But let's just say the sprints felt great, and you're like, I'm gonna send it. Or somebody wanted to compete with you, and you had a partner with you. Instead of you doing your 5 reps, you do 8. And now it's like, okay, that felt great during, but that 1 to 2 day recovery period, I felt it. So now it's like, all right, this is where the volume was supposed to be 2 days later for this workout or this lift. I'm gonna have to bring it back down, or I might have to cut the range of motion. It's like, figure out those, like, weaving in and out is a part of the pot. But the main theme to all of this, even with all the information, and I can dive further and go into the science, and there's things that back it and all other stuff, the main theme out of that entire thing is showing up. Like, I still get excited, and I continuously use the word get, because it's like it is a thing that should be as regular as brushing our teeth, but it is still very much a privilege and a luxury to move our body. And that's the biggest theme that I want to remind people when I see them throughout my content, is like, we keep putting this thing on the back burner, and no matter what, I'm going to continue to hear complaints. I'm going to continue to hear what's getting in the way. I just mentioned the perfect plan thing, but if you if you at least have some structure, and you just commit to yourself, and you just know in your brain and in your mind, there's nothing that's going to block this. There's not going to be a barrier for this. And this is important to you as it is for other things for you. Like, you don't maybe mention it, and I even get to my clients on this too. You may not mention it in your end of week stats or how things went or how you track things, but you definitely made it a time to go watch that show. You didn't talk about that. You talked about how you missed like Tuesday and Wednesday, but you definitely watched that show. Or you definitely went to that event. And it's not to say don't live your life. Be social. Be out there. Connect. Be in community. Those are also messages and themes that I'm going to continue to push out. Like, do those things. Do those things that bring you joy. Do those things that are uniting and things of that nature. So that is not the message at all. But if you come back with the same broken record message of I don't make time, or I can't make time, I'm not hearing it. No matter what, even when you don't know the answer, even when it seems confusing, even when you don't know what the equation is going to be or what the formula is going to be to get you to the end result, show up. Mic drop. That's all I got. Like, comment, subscribe. Till next time. Peace.